क्वेश्चंस आपके सिलेबस के अकॉर्डिंग ही प्रिपेयर किए गए हैं। जैसे आपके पेपर में सबसे पहले शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस आने हैं, उसके बाद लॉन्ग क्वेश्चंस आने हैं यूनिट वाइज, उसी तरह से इसमें भी पहले शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस प्रिपेयर किए गए हैं, उसके बाद लॉन्ग क्वेश्चंस 4 यूनिट्स में डिवाइड करके बनाए गए हैं। इसके बारे में, सिलेबस के बारे में और डिटेल जानने के लिए आप सिलेबस का वीडियो चेक कर सकते हो, जो कि उसका लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में डाल दिया जाएगा। और बाकी आने वाले समय में आपको बाकी सारे सब्जेक्ट्स के मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन यहीं पे मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ से आप अपने पेपर की तैयारी कर सकते हो। अगर कोई डाउट्स हो तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में कमेंट कर सकते हो। ये वीडियो आपको कैसा लगा ये ज़रूर बताना। शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस इस तरह से हैं। एक्सप्लेन द मीनिंग ऑफ अथॉरिटी एंड नेक्स्ट इज़ व्हाट इज़ द इम्पॉर्टेंस ऑफ अथॉरिटी। ये शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस आपको 2 मार्क्स का एक होगा, 9 क्वेश्चन इसमें आपने करने होंगे और ये 3-4 लाइन में इसका आपने आंसर देना होगा। ये क्वेश्चन मोल्ड करके बनाए गए हैं, जैसे कि आपके पेपर में डाले जाते हैं। आंसर कईयों का सेम ही होता है। अब थर्ड क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट इज़ द ओरिजिन ऑफ द वर्ड अथॉरिटी and then write down any 4 sources of legitimacy. And next, define political culture and then explain any 4 components of political culture. And next is write any 4 types of political socialization. And then how is the role of peer groups significant in political socialization. And then explain the meaning of legal rights and then write down any 4 legal duties. And next is who are the main supporters of negative liberty. And then what is the meaning of political liberty. And next is write down the origin of the word justice. And then what is the meaning of social change. And next is what do you mean by direct democracy. And then write down the 2 important characteristics of legitimacy. And next is describe the meaning of political culture and then mention 2 differences between power and authority. And next is what are rights and then describe the 2 basic principles of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. And then what do you mean by environment. And then discuss the main effects of air pollution. And next is write down the meaning of liberty. And then how is liberty protected in a modern state. And then what do you mean by economic dimension of justice. And next, what do you mean by democratic government. And then write down any 4 characteristics of the government. And next is what is the dictatorship proletariat according to Marxist. Why is democracy known as the government of the rich. ये नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन था शायद. And then write down 2 definitions of power. And then what is national power. And next is define power. And then write down 2 kinds of legitimacy. And next is what do you mean by duties. And then write down 4 characteristics of human rights. And then what is the significance of December 10th. And then what do you mean by ozone layer. And then write down 4 characteristics of equality. And then write down 4 characteristics to ensure legal equality. And then write down 4 modes of social change. And next, what are Marxist views of democracy. And next is write down 4 differences between Marxist and liberal democracy. And next is write 2 characteristics of legitimacy. And then write 4 duties of a citizen. And then what do you mean by negative liberty. And next is what do you understand by classless society of Marx. And then who are the political elite according to the elitist theory of democracy. And then write 4 safeguards of liberty. And next is what do you mean by dictatorship of proletariat. And then what do you mean by direct democracy. And then what do you mean by national power? And next is rights and duties are co-related. Do you agree? And then which theory of democracy has been propounded by Pareto and Mosca? And next is write down the importance of legitimacy. And then what do you mean by human rights? And next is write down any 4 legal duties. And then what do you mean by justice? And next write down the meaning of equality. And then what do you mean by democratic government? And then write down the meaning of elite. And next is what is meant by secularization of political culture. And then what do you mean by charismatic power? And then what is the origin of the word authority? And then what is the meaning of structural legitimacy? And next is write down 4 characteristics of political culture. And then what do you mean by latent political socialization? And next write down the meaning of fundamental rights. And then when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations. And then what is the nature of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? And then what is the origin of the word duty? And next is what do you mean by the elitist theory of democracy? And then what do you mean by power? And next write down 2 features of political culture. And next is write down any 4 safeguards of rights. And then what do you mean by national liberty? And next is what is the legal dimension of justice? And then write down any 4 conditions necessary for the success of democracy. And then write down any 4 features of socialistic democracy. And then write down any 4 features of political socialization. And next write down any 2 types of political culture. And next is what do you mean by manifest political socialization? And then write down the political rights of the citizen. And next is what is the importance of December 10th? ये क्वेश्चन रिपीट हुआ है. And next what do you mean by social equality? And then write down any 4 kinds of liberty. And then what is the origin of the word justice? And then define elitist theory of democracy. And next write any 2 features of authority. And next origin of the word legitimacy to be explained. And then describe the parochial and participant political culture. And then what is the need for political socialization? And then define rights. And next give any 4 duties of a citizen. And next is when is the Human Rights Day celebrated? And next, what is the significance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? And next, give any 4 safeguards of liberty. And next, what do you mean by political and economic equality? And next is what is the relationship between justice and equality? And then mention any 4 hindrances of social change. And then define democracy. And next, who were the main advocates of elitist theory of democracy? And then give any 2 features of Marxist theory of democracy. स्टूडेंट्स ये थे शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस. अब है लॉन्ग क्वेश्चंस, ऐसे टाइप क्वेश्चंस. ये सबसे पहले इसमें फर्स्ट यूनिट है, यूनिट फर्स्ट. इसके क्वेश्चंस इस तरह से हैं. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इसमें व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पावर, राइट डाउन इट्स डिफरेंट काइंड्स. इसको इस तरह से बिना पावर का मीनिंग पूछे ही इस तरह पूछा जा सकता है, डिस्कस द डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ पावर. और इसको अथॉरिटी के साथ मिला के पूछा जा सकता है, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पावर एंड अथॉरिटी, राइट डाउन द डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन द टू. तो इसके 2 पार्ट्स बनाए गए हैं, दोनों पार्ट्स को करना ज़रूरी है. इसमें मार्क्स भी इसी तरह डिवाइड हो जाते हैं. एंड नेक्स्ट, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पावर, डिफाइन इट्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. एंड देन डिफाइन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ लेजिटिमेसी एंड एक्सप्लेन इट्स वेरियस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. And then what do you mean by political culture? Discuss its various kinds. And next is, what do you mean by the crisis of legitimacy? What are the causes responsible for it? And then define authority and discuss its characteristics. And next is, what do you mean by secular culture? What are the factors helpful in growth? ये इस तरह से है। आगे हम इस पे थे। What do you mean by secular culture? What are the factors helpful in the growth of secular political culture? And then define political socialization, explain its agents or means and characteristics. And then define political socialization, discuss its various agents, and then explain the agents of political socialization in detail. इसमें एजेंट्स ही पूछे गए हैं, पहले में पॉलिटिकल सोशलाइजेशन का मीनिंग भी पूछा गया है। तो इस तरह से क्वेश्चन मोल्ड किया जा सकते होते हैं। डिफाइन पॉलिटिकल सोशलाइजेशन, एक्सप्लेन इट्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स। ये यूनिट फर्स्ट था। अब है यूनिट सेकंड के लॉन्ग ऐसे टाइप क्वेश्चन। 18 मार्क्स के ये लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आपको आना है। एक क्वेश्चन 18 मार्क्स का होगा। 8 क्वेश्चन होंगे, इंटरनल चॉइस होगी यूनिट वाइज, और उसमें से आपने हर एक यूनिट में से एक क्वेश्चन लॉन्ग ऐसे टाइप करना है। इसको करते वक्त ये ध्यान रखना है, सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन देनी होती है, फिर उसका मीनिंग बताना है, डेफिनेशंस बतानी होती हैं, उसके बाद जो मेन पूछा गया है वो उसकी डिटेल देनी होती है। हेडिंग निकाल के आप उसकी डिटेल एक्सप्लेन करते जाना है और लास्ट में कंक्लूड जरूर करना है। अब यूनिट सेकंड है, डिस्कस द वेरियस सिविल, पॉलिटिकल एंड इकोनॉमिक राइट्स विच आर इंजॉयड बाय द सिटीजन्स इन मॉडर्न डेमोक्रेटिक स्टेट्स, and then define rights. Discuss in the brief the right enjoyed by the citizens in modern India, and then explain the different kinds of rights. And next is, what do you mean by rights? Explain in detail the nature of them, and then write down the relationship between rights and duties. And then rights and duties are the two sides of the same coin. And next is, write down the different kinds of duties, and then define human rights and explain its nature and characteristics. And next is, write down the rights included in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And next is, write down the importance of the right included in Declaration of Human Rights. And then, what do you mean by environmental pollution? And write down the types of environment pollution. And next is, rights and duties are correlated. Discuss. And then write an essay on civil and political rights as mentioned in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And then, what do you mean by Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Explain its nature in detail. And last question, second unit का, discuss the features of rights and its different kinds. अब है यूनिट थर्ड, जिसमें लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन इस तरह से हैं, डिफाइन इक्वालिटी एंड डिस्कस द लीगल, पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल इकोनॉमिक डायमेंशंस ऑफ इक्वालिटी. And then, what do you mean by liberty? Discuss its kind and safeguards. And then discuss the different kinds of liberty. And next is, political liberty is a myth without economic equality. Discuss. And next is, explain in detail the relationship between political liberty and economic equality. Economic equality. And then, what is the relationship between economic liberty and political equality? And then, what are the different kinds of justice? Explain legal justice and how it can be ensured. And then define the concept of justice. Discuss its legal, political, social and economic dimensions. And then, what are the different dimensions of justice? ये यूनिट थर्ड था। अब है यूनिट फोर्थ। इसके इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस इस तरह से हैं। What are the hindrances in the way of social change? How would you remove these? And then, what are the modes and hindrances of social change? And next is, what do you mean by social change? Write down the characteristics of social change. And then discuss various factors of social change. And then write down the nature of social change. And next is, write down the characteristics of liberal democracy. स्टूडेंट्स, आप बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स के वीडियोस भी यहाँ देख सकते हो, उसके भी मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस यहाँ पे बना के डाले जा रहे हैं। आने वाले समय में सभी सब्जेक्ट्स के तकरीबन अपलोड कर दिए जाएंगे, वहाँ से अपने नोट्स प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो। सोशियोलॉजी के पूरे सिलेबस के लेक्चर्स भी यहीं पे मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ आप उससे तैयारी कर सकते हो, और सिलेबस के वीडियो भी यहीं मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ से आप अपना सिलेबस भी देख सकते हो। And then define democracy, write different characteristics and types of democracy. And next is make a critical evaluation of elite theory of democracy. Explain the main features of elitist theory of democracy. And then what are the necessary conditions for the success of democracy. And then liberal democracy is the best form of government. Do you agree with this viewpoint? And next is discuss the merits and demerits of democracy. And then discuss the features of social change and the various factors of social change. स्टूडेंट्स, ये थे लॉन्ग एंड शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस। हम अपने अगले वीडियो में फिर मिलेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच।